into our brief presentation on our experience in Ecuador.
As you can see, Quito is a really big and beautiful city. It has a lot of urban life as well as lots of nature kind of involved. So there was a wide variety of activities we could do, including soccer games, different hikes in the forest and also up mountains. And the clock towers you see on the screen, we actually climbed those, and then the picture on the right top is the clock towers, which is a really pretty view of the city. And there's also different protests we could attend, and the nightlife was pretty fun as well. So overall, there was a variety of things to do during the day and at night.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So we learned a little bit about indigenous resistance to oil extraction on their territory, and then we were able to go into the Amazon and be immersed in nature and be able to learn a little bit about the Waorani culture from the Waorani people themselves. We also learned about various social movements. We learned about neoliberalism, racism, food sovereignty, all in the Ecuadorian context. And it was a lot of fun because we were always able to meet usually a leader from the social movements that we learned.
So we each had internships in the city of Quito while we were as part of our program there. My internship was on La Granja Pachamama, which was an urban farm in the Carapungo neighborhood of Quito.
My internship was at the Centro de Desarrollo Integral El Nino, and I was basically a physical therapist during the time that I was there. So I would help students through different exercise and activities, kind of centered around developing their balance and equilibrium.
Internship was with La Radio Churro, and this is an alternative media source. So a lot of it was a lot of journalism, and they tried to get the stories focused on human rights, the stories that the mainstream media was not telling.
In my internship, I attended a center of rehabilitation for kids with disabilities as well. You can see I pretty much just followed a physical therapist during my time there, and I got to work hands-on with the kids that were in that center.
This page right here is all about our host families and our times we spent with them. On the bottom, you can see a photo of me next to a cake and my lovely host family. We have Esteban, who's on the right. He was 13 years old. Sophia, his mother, and then there's actually another German exchange student which lived in our building, but we pretty much saw her as family because she'd come around ever so often and hang out with us.
So my host mom was a single mom who lived with her nephew, and I got to spend evenings talking with her about her life, what it was like in Quito. And since I was a Latinx student, I could just see similarities in our culture.
So I had a bigger family. I had 3 siblings and then 2 parents. And my favorite part of the day would be helping them cook dinner or lunch, and then being able to talk and improve my Spanish with them.
So for one long weekend, we had a couple days off for the vacations of Carnival. So we went to this cute little town called Banos, which is a couple hours away from Quito. And they had a lot of extreme sports. So you can see Isaac's doing zip lining. We did whitewater rafting. We did this cool hot springs with the perfect view, and we had to wear these goofy shower caps. So it was a really good time. Also during Carnival, what it made it special was there'd be like people throwing water balloons or squirting. It's kind of like silly spray during the week. So it's honestly a really good trip. I felt like we really got to get closer to each other.
Hi, Isaac. It's Isaac here. So on our last weekend before everything in Ecuador shut down and everyone was in quarantine, we all went to Quilatoa, which is a crater lake in the mountains a few hours away from Quito. So we got there in the afternoon on the first day, and you can see kind of in the bottom middle picture that it was like really rainy and cloudy where we were, and sometimes like you couldn't even see down into the crater because there were so many clouds. So we hiked down to the lake, and yeah, it was super beautiful. And then in the morning we did the hike around the entire crater lake, which is really beautiful. You can
I'm going to talk about our trip to the Amazon rainforest. First off, to get there was quite the journey. It took about 10 hours by car, and then we even had a boat ride across a river to get to where we were staying in the Yasuni. As you can see in that picture in the top, there's insects that were ginormous, bigger than I've ever seen. Yeah, and part of our time there, we got to talk to Waurani, which is an indigenous tribe which is located within the Yasuni, and the exploitation of petroleum, which is going on in their territory, which was a really profound and like deep topic to be able to talk to these people about. In the bottom right, you can actually see a bunch of Waurani children that we got to play soccer with, which was probably one of my favorite experiences. It was those kids were very intense. They were very good at the sport. But yeah, and then on the top right, you can see this tower that we climbed, which was a huge tower, giant ladder, and actually like everyone was sweating by the time they got up to the top. But we were told to remain completely silent so we could see as much wildlife as possible. And we were actually lucky enough to see cockatoos.
I'm going to talk a little bit about us, having to leave the country. Obviously, at first, when all of the news came out about COVID-19, at first we were kind of like, oh, well, we want to stay. But it eventually got to a point where the school and the program demanded that we come back, and that was obviously for our own safety. So you can see, like, we're like literally the only flight the night we left that was actually happening. Every other flight was canceled, which was really crazy. But yeah, we made it back. And on the behalf of everyone in our group, between the two colleges of St. Olaf and St. Scholastica, we really appreciate everything the program did to aid us in getting back. And we appreciate everything that our professors did for us when we were down there in showing us what is Ecuador. So thank you.
Oh.